Hey everyone, this is Steph from debtfreespending.com, and today we're going to be doing a really different kind of webinar because most of you may know or may not know that I'm actually a reading specialist by day, which means that I teach children how to read pretty much all day long. I've been doing this for 14 years. I have my master's degree as a reading specialist from a university here in Pennsylvania, and I also have a year of training of English as a second language. So we're going to kind of jump right in today and talk about how you're going to teach your child to read for free. And hopefully the slides will transition here for us. Today's lesson is just a complete overview lesson. I'm going to be creating different next steps for each parent depending on where their child is reading. But I want every parent that goes through our program to understand that there are 6 pillars that we base all reading instruction on. And I've taught hundreds of children to read using this system, even children with fairly severe learning disabilities, and also severe attention deficit disorder, if they have parent support and they work with a reading specialist, and most school districts do offer this, even those children can succeed when there's a lot of hard work involved. I've seen very severe cases where children have come out reading even at or above grade level fine when there's enough people working with the child and helping them learn in the way that they need to learn. So the whole idea behind my program is that it's based on 6 pillars. The first one is phonemic awareness. This is the ability for young children to hear and manipulate sounds and words. For example, it's rhyming. It's being able to say to a child, cat, rhyme something, with cat that starts with b, and I want them to be able to go bat. Or if I say, what sound do you hear at the beginning of mat? I want them to be able to tell me or at the end of the word, what do you hear at the end of mat? I hear t. I'm looking for them to tell me all the sounds that they can hear in words. And I'm also looking for them to be able to break apart those sounds. So if I say break apart the sounds in mat, I want them to go a, t. Or if I say, tell me the word these sounds make. If I say a, t, I want them to be able to go mat. That's called blending. So breaking them apart is segmenting, putting them together is blending. Picking out the sounds and rhyming are all parts of phonemic awareness. Phonics, the next step is when you attach a visual cue to that, such as a letter or a group of letters or a word. So in other words, phonics is where we're not just manipulating the sounds anymore. Now we're saying to the child, I need you to be able to look at this letter and tell me what sound it makes. Okay, now look at these 2 letters and let's blend these 2 sounds together. Let's look at these 3 letters and let's blend these sounds together. And then that moves on into long vowels, endings, all kinds of different visual cues that mean different sounds in the English language. Even chunks in words. This even goes up to 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, where you're looking at prefixes, suffixes. Tion spells shun. You're looking at different beginnings and endings of words, or chunks in words that are familiar. So phonics is really breaking down the visual part of our language and when it's written. And then the 3rd step is really for early learning from like K to 3, I'd say, and that's sight words. Sight words are words that cannot be sounded out, such as they, They, does not typically follow the normal AY spelling pattern. And so we're looking at sight words like the, The. I mean, that doesn't even make any sense when you're phonetically sounding out words. And so what we're doing at a young age is trying to get several, like when you go to the circus or the fair, or when we go to Baltimore's Inner Harbor, there are street shows a lot of times where you see somebody spinning plates on sticks. They'll get a stick really spinning really fast. The plate on the top will be really spinning, where they're doing many things at one time, like 3 plates at a time. And so we're trying to get children to basically spin many plates in the air at the same time with these different skills, and then put them all together to be able to read. And so they have to be able to do different things to be able to read. And that's what we're going to be talking about. And then later comes fluency, comprehension, and vocabulary. Fluency is the ability to read smoothly. Comprehension is how children understand what they read, and vocabulary are the meaning behind words as they encounter tougher text as they get older. So the lesson that I'm planning out for my parents that want to join this free program are daily lessons, which you'll conduct a 30-minute daily lesson at least 5 days a week. And you don't have to do 7. I mean, if you do anywhere from 4 to 6, that should be pretty consistent. If the child is homeschooled, then definitely 5. If the child is struggling and there is no reading specialist support, you're looking at 5 or 6 at least. If they're schooled in a public school and they're getting reading specialist support, I still recommend 4 to 5 days a week where you're going to be doing a 30-minute session with your child. If they are attention deficit or have trouble sitting still, if you think that you're concerned about attention issues, then I would break that apart into 10-minute segments where you don't do it all at one time. And then in addition to the daily lesson, you will also read aloud to your child for 15 minutes from a book that he or she cannot read yet. This could be anything from, and we're going to talk about some great literature. I'm going to mention some wonderful read alouds for young children that if you want to write these books down, you can. I will eventually have a blog post, I'm sure, with a list of them. But some of the classic all-time favorites of mine after 15 years are books like Goodnight Moon, Brown Bear, What Do You See is another one. Tiki Tiki Tembo is my third favorite. Any Dr. Seuss book, because it includes a lot of rhyming. Dr. Seuss books are wonderful ways to teach your child to rhyme, where you can read aloud with them, where you read the first sentence and at the end of the second sentence, when the rhyming word comes into play, you let the word off at the end and let them try to figure out what the rhyming word might be. So that's another. Dr. Seuss books are another one of my favorites. These are just a very few to get started. That Very Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle is another great one for young children. Chicka Chicka Boom Boom is great for teaching letters. So there's just 5 right off the top of my head that I can think of that I've talked about that you can read to small children. These are all very good that young children love. So I'll try to come up with some lists for different ages for you to have for read alouds. As you get older, like my child right now is in 2nd grade, and so we're reading aloud with him The Mouse and the Motorcycle, where he reads some and we read some, and you will get into partner reading as your child grows. So the first question, is your child ready to read? Before a child can read, he or she must be able to recognize letters and the sounds that they make. We're talking all upper and lower case. Generally, there are 54 of these for me as a reading specialist, because that includes the funky A and the funky G, as I like to call it, which are the weirdly round-shaped A and G in addition to the regular A and G. They have to be able to manipulate sounds and words, and they have to be able to pay attention long enough to learn to read. Many children are not ready developmentally to learn to read yet. This is the number one mistake that I see most parents make. Their child might have a summer birthday, their child might have attention issues. Many times children have things that have come up developmentally, whether it's a brain injury as a small child or they had lack of oxygen at birth. There can be many, many things that can contribute to why a child is not ready to learn to read yet. And so developmentally, you can't push a child to do more than what they really can do at a certain age too much. You can push them a little bit, but not to the point of frustration, because children will really learn to read when they're ready. I have found that in my years of teaching, even though some children don't learn to read in kindergarten very well, by the end of 2nd grade, most children can learn to read unless there's something severe going on or there is no parent support. And even in the cases where something severe is going on, I've seen many, many times where medication or where intense support helps that child be able to read on grade level. So I really want to provide some hope for any parents out there that think that their child, or if their child is already struggling, to think that they can't learn to read. That's just simply not true. We all learn to read even until adulthood, even after, even though a child may finish high school, whether they go into college or not decides whether or not they learn even more vocabulary, even more words, or whether they just love to read outside of, as an adult out with no schooling post high school. You never stop learning. And so please know that just because our school system has put children into grades doesn't mean that children always fit into the mold of those grades. And I've still seen a lot of success with those children. So please, please, please don't ever give up hope. I've been doing this a long time and have a lot of hope for my kids. So how my system works: 30-minute lesson consisting of 3 parts, 10 minutes of letter or word work depending on how old the child is, 10 minutes of phonemic awareness or phonics, 10 minutes of reading fluency, where students who are not yet reading will be working on another skill during this time for your 30-minute segments. So this is where we're going to begin, and if you're definitely interested, please comment on the blog post, and I will be posting daily updates on how to do this. And also please email me at steph@debtfreespending.com. Again, that's steph@debtfreespending.com. If you have individual questions about your child that you'd like answered, I do consult with parents all the time. And so if you have questions, please let me know. So today is day 1 with an overview lesson of how to teach your child to read at home for free. Hope you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.